Okay guys, video 3 of the cognitive domain of Bloom's taxonomy. These levels 4, 5, and 6 are called higher level thinking questions. They require you to think critically, to analyze, to look at your own personal values, to critique other people's personal values. And as teachers, we want to try and get you into these higher level thinking type states. There's a difference between having an education and being educated. There are a lot of people who have an education, but they aren't educated. And when you get into these higher level thinking questions, you're able to use this information, and it shapes and changes you. And that's what we try to do with varying success. This is part of the reason why the curriculum has changed. We've got all those core competencies, because we're trying to get you guys to get up into these higher level thinking questions. So rather than just learning stuff you can forget, you're able to use this information, have it change and shape you in some way. So the first type of these questions are analysis questions. These questions present a problem that only has one solution, all right? And to solve these questions, you have to break down material into its parts, look at motives and causes, and then draw conclusions. So basically, if you're a GP or a doctor and someone comes with symptoms, that's what a GP does. They look at your symptoms, they break it down to motives or causes, and then they come up with a diagnosis and give you a medicine or not. But that's essentially what they do. I believe business and economics has a lot of this. And so when you're looking at why stocks do a certain thing, or why a business is going a certain way, or why the economy, you are breaking things down to motives and causes, and then you're making predictions based on those that problem, and then you are investing or moving your assets around accordingly. So analysis questions are very important. All right. There's political analysis. All those types of jobs and all those types of situations basically are level 4. Level 5 is a synthesis type questions. Okay, there are 3 types. These are more open-ended, and these are the ones that you guys think you can BS a little bit with, and that's cool, but it doesn't always sound good. So there's 3 types. One is solve problems with more than one answer. So how many pennies are in the jar? Tell me how you can solve that without counting them, all right? Or how do we solve gang violence? Okay, that's a problem with lots of different ways of solving it. We have yet to find that problem. Medical questions, so curing cancer, that's a synthesis type question, okay? There's lots of potential solutions, and you have to use your intelligence and creativity, okay? So quite often there's different types of creativity. To come up with a vaccine for COVID is like a synthesis question, and it does require creativity and thinking outside the box, okay? And that's what we have people trying to do right now. Another type of synthesis question is make predictions. So, for example, what would the United States be like if the South had won the Civil War? All right, well, the South was pro-slavery. So you would have to know quite a little bit about American history and quite a bit of what's going on in America right now to answer that question intelligently. Anyone can answer that question, but you need to be able to answer it intelligently. Obviously, there still wouldn't be slaves, but would they be farther ahead with their racial issues? Would they be farther behind? And you'd have to have evidence to support that, okay? Because obviously there's no definite answer because it didn't happen. Predict what is the next trend in music, all right, or the next up and coming artist. Some of you guys go, oh, I know that. I have no idea. So my level of understanding of music is far, far, far below synthesis, okay? Some might think it's just awful, my taste in music. Okay. The final type of synthesis question is to produce an original communication. So that would be when you get those questions like, write a letter to the editor of a social issue of concern for you, with you, and things like that, where you are, or what is a great name for this project? That's a good elementary elementary school question for synthesis. Here's our invention, write a name for it. So if a kid names the project George or Sam, all right, it probably doesn't describe what the invention does. It may show that their level of understanding is of what the invention does is not at a high enough level where they can come up with a name that describes what the invention does. That was not a very good explanation, I'm sorry.